Conor McGregor has had his fair share of success as a UFC champion, but has it gotten to his head? There's plenty of evidence for that, where McGregor has acted arrogant, mean, and overall insufferable. Today, we're going to go over all the times Conor McGregor has spat the dummy for no reason. Let's begin. Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. One of the most notorious beefs McGregor has involved himself in is against fellow UFC fighter Khabib Nurmagomedov. But before we get into it, let's give some interesting background to the two's relationship. Two of the biggest rivals in UFC history started off quite differently. Did you know that McGregor and Khabib were once really good friends? It's true. This was pre-2016 when McGregor ascended to the lightweight division. When McGregor was only a featherweight, Khabib admired him and both men would interact with each other on Twitter. It was a t-shirt that first called for some friendly exchanges between the two, and the two seemed very happy to be a part of them. Then, upon McGregor's win against Poirier at UFC 178, he actually met up with Khabib, and the two also had a picture taken together. Alas, the good times weren't meant to last, and after McGregor moved up to the lightweight division, his relationship with Khabib went downhill. In 2016, as McGregor was busy trying to defeat Nate Diaz, Khabib had a fight with Daryl Horscher. Both men were successful and now had a similar goal, and that was to move to the 155 lightweight division. That's when things started heating up. Khabib wanted to fight Eddie Alvarez for the 155 belt, but Alvarez refused. And after some confusion caused by UFC on purpose, Khabib realized that UFC just wanted a fight between Alvarez and McGregor. What followed was McGregor's win and an infuriated Khabib. That's how the beef kicked off. The two were involved in a verbal spat at the UFC 205 weigh-ins. The two's beef carried itself into their first ever face-off in the octagon in October of 2018. Although Khabib was declared victorious via submission, McGregor had far from given up. He took to his Instagram to say the war goes on, and the war went on indeed. The two are still considered arch enemies, and fans still hope that the two will face each other again for a rematch soon. Let's see what ensues. But this whole thing serves as the perfect example of how far McGregor can go in his rivalry against someone. McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier first locked horns with McGregor back in 2014. The two had since then considered each other enemies and haven't let go of even a single chance to thrash each other. Poirier had his revenge in January this year, and now McGregor seems to be planning a comeback. Poirier, the Diamond, and McGregor, the Notorious, have a trilogy clash coming up in Vegas. McGregor seems to be well aware of his standings as a UFC superstar, though, and has been acting very arrogantly on the social platform Twitter. He recently tried to persuade Poirier to stay on his feet by saying the first to take for a shootdown on match night will be a Dusty B. Poirier responded to this trick by saying that it just proves that he's insecure. He said that instead of what McGregor is suggesting, the first to get knocked down would be the real B. But McGregor didn't stop there. Even though he was the one who started it, McGregor didn't find it right to admit his mistake and surrender. Instead, he once again took to Twitter and mocked Poirier on an ESPN post about Poirier's response to his initial comments, and McGregor wasn't done there. He made yet another tweet offering some advice to Poirier, except it wasn't friendly. McGregor just went on to be super rude to his opponent and made several threats. His tweet had everyone expecting a seething clapback from Poirier, but the Diamond has seemingly decided to turn the other cheek and ignore all the insults. Maybe he's just preparing to take it all out inside the ring soon. McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather was the most unexpected victim of McGregor's wrath. What could the boxer even have done to get McGregor, who's not even a boxer but an MMA fighter? The answer goes back to 2015, but it isn't something Mayweather did, but McGregor himself. In an appearance on Conan O'Brien, McGregor found humor in saying that Mayweather is nothing before him, and he would gladly do something as simple as fighting him for a grand sum of $180 million. The same month, not Mayweather, but his uncle decided to respond to McGregor's comments about his nephew. He said that McGregor couldn't even last 30 seconds against his nephew, who'd beat him with one hand. Then Mayweather also spoke about McGregor. He talked about how McGregor didn't receive any bad press for talking trash, but Mayweather did, and held racism responsible. McGregor didn't sit back either and immediately came back with his own response. He took to Instagram and fired back in a post saying, "Floyd Mayweather, don't ever bring race into my success again. I'm an Irishman. My people have been oppressed our entire existence, and still very much are. I understand the feeling of prejudice. It's a feeling that is deep in my blood. In my family's long history of warfare, there was a time where we just having the name McGregor was punishable by death. Do not ever put me in a bracket like this again. If you want me, we can organize a fight no problem. I'll give you a fair 80-20 split purse in my favor, seeing as your last fight bombed at every area of revenue. The feud had escalated to a point there were rumors about the two having a fight, though that was very unlikely at that point since the two are from very different organizations. But the men had enough of a hatred for one another that they actually went ahead and posted fake flyers for the fight. At the center of all the silliness was how much money each of the two would be making from a possible fight. Both McGregor and Mayweather seemed to have inflated egos, and both said the other would receive less money. By 2017, there had been enough bad blood and frenzy on social media to convince UFC of arranging a fight. The fight that took place in May of 2017 was one of the most major events in UFC. In the 10th round, McGregor's pride took a fall when he was defeated by Mayweather brutally. After the fight, many were saying McGregor had it coming, just as Icarus, who flew too close to the sun. McGregor versus MGK? What? McGregor came after Machine Gun Kelly, the rapper. Yes, unfortunately he did. In his most recent spat, McGregor just forgot who he's squabbling with and proved yet again how he's habitual of spitting the dummy for no reason at all. Recently at the MTV VMAs, McGregor picked a fight with none other than Machine Gun Kelly, aka Megan Fox's boyfriend. Several photos from the event show MGK and McGregor in the same frame, and the two seemed distressed, being surrounded by a crowd of what looked like security guards. According to a report, the fight started off when McGregor showed interest in clicking a picture with MGK. However, he was refused the request from angered guards who didn't let him get what he wanted. And we all know what happens when McGregor doesn't get something he wants. The UFC fighter proceeded to throw his drink at MGK. Reports also say that MGK's guards pushed McGregor, which further infuriated him. The fight escalated so quickly that McGregor forgot where he was and who he was dealing with and said he was ready to fight MGK. What a disaster that would have been. McGregor was fully ready to throw his fist, but MGK's security was the one keeping him in line. However, a representative for McGregor said that there wasn't going to be any fight since McGregor only fights fighters. Thank God things didn't get physical, or this would have been a truly unique VMAs. Instead, the two decided to let it go. And what choice did McGregor have? He couldn't possibly go for MGK with his dozen security guards and several reporters on top of that. But the altercation seemed to have created the possibility of something bigger. As seen in the past, every single feud McGregor has had has lasted almost forever, and some are alive to this day. So could it be that McGregor will pursue something here as well and will witness another actually concerning beef? What if a fight takes place? We had Logan Paul going against Floyd Mayweather Jr. himself, so what is another super shocking fight? Fans have even started betting on who will claim victory if the fight indeed takes place. They're saying that MGK would be the underdog in such a fight and McGregor will easily beat him. The last few years have been no short of shocking event after shocking event, and this fight could just be an addition to that. Let's see what the future holds for the two, and while we certainly hope the two are able to get past their differences, a fight would be kind of exciting, if you know what we mean. That was it for today's video. Thanks for watching.